Florida State football's opening game is on the horizon. We're less than a week away, just days away from kickoff in Dublin, Ireland. But we're going to talk a little bit about Florida State football recruiting on the channel. We saw the Noles surge in recruiting late June throughout July, but things have kind of cooled down a little bit. They've lost some recruiting battles of late. And Michael, what's kind of the state of FSU recruiting? Should we be concerned, or is there some good news on the horizon? Kind of talk us off the ledge a little bit.
Well, I think there's good news. It's obviously been a tough month for FSU recruiting when you go with the Josh Petty recruitment, then Bryce Fitzgerald, and you had a few others. It's been kind of, I would say, more stalemate of where they're at, where there isn't a boom that usually boost up right before the season starts. But I still think they're in a good position of where they're at. I think you look at their positions, most of them they sit in a pretty good spot. I do feel pretty good about the linebacker position. I think they're going to get some guys in there. I think two guys like Tarvis offered and gosh, I'm blowing blank. Tavion Wallace. Both of those guys I feel are very realistic for FSU, but I know FSU fans they want to see it now and them. But I think the positions and stuff look really good. I've got to do. We're going to do a mock kind of pick of some of the picks I have coming up. I think FSU will get some. I think some good news as once the season starts. I think there'll be some guys that will kind of get the ball rolling with more buzz. But ultimately you got to look at the total package of what the class is so far. And I think with a lot of those positions, they've really done a great job. I think certainly defensive tackle, that was a position that I thought maybe might take a while. And you got a guys like Kevin Wynn and then you already have that's already in the mix, and then you also have Myron Charles as well. So I think having that position solidified is really good news. They do need another defensive end that'll probably go into the season, but I think overall, I think they've checked off a lot of what they wanted to get out of this class in the summer. Um, Still want two more defensive backs, like I said on the board. That's not a position I'm even remotely concerned about. I do think they'll get some additions with those once the season starts. Might even maybe even before the season. I think they might get a guy or two, but I think when you really when I talk about the factor in the success of the classes, I'm looking at position and just how far away you are to kind of solidify what you want in the class. And I think in the spring and definitely in the summer, they hit on so many that I think we get kind of spoiled to what they have in the class, and you forget about kind of what they have done in that month of June and even July. I think certainly it was a lot of big additions, a lot even a few surprises. So I don't want to like just push those guys aside, and I think sometimes we just forget about the guys that are already in there. I still believe, yes, I do, guys, that it's going to be a top 10 class, probably even inside the 10 mark. But I get it, you haven't seen much good news, so I get that. I get the concern just because everyone wants buzz going into that game in Ireland. But I think things will pick up once the season starts, and we saw that last year to kind of illustrate some stuff where you really started seeing some surge and buzz with FSU once they got through that first LSU game. You heard a lot of excitement. There was a lot of buzz. There was a lot of intrigue. It was and it created and you felt it in the recruiting trail. So I think it'll be similar to that. But yes, the season can't start soon enough. Both on just wanting to watch FSU and just creating even more buzz. But overall, I think from a position standpoint and as a class, I think they're okay. I know people worry about the numbers of where they're at. I forget the total number of commits they have, but it's around the number I'd heard. I remember I mentioned to you in the summer if they could get 14 to 15,
Yeah.
they would be in a good spot, and I think they're around there. So I think overall they're there, but it's still you can't take away from the bad news. There's been some misses, and they've had to deal with good and bad news. But as I say in recruiting all the time, it's definitely not just a sprint to the finish line. It's a thing that it's an ongoing full season. Even guys you already have committed that you have to go through. And I think FSU's fine, but yeah, it would not hurt to get a commitment either before the season or right when the season starts. And I think that's coming up. And I'll get more into that in our next video when we break down the kind of a mock thing. But I think they definitely have some, probably have some good news coming. But overall, I think, like I said, Ben, I think sometimes we lose sight of what the class has already than what they haven't added, or hey, there hadn't been a 5-star, hey, there hadn't been a top 100 guy. I think we lose sight of kind of what's already in the class. So I think overall there's some work to do. There's some positions that you want to see better. Defensive end, there's still work to do. Obviously, I've mentioned defense tackle; they've killed it with that. And then there's a few guys in the offensive line that they want to get. They don't have an offensive tackle; they need to get one. So there's a few things they still need to do, but I would say from a position standpoint, they're actually ahead of what they were last year. So I think overall, people just get ready for the Dublin game in Ireland. Get ready for your Irish beer, your green beer, whatever you're drinking, whatever you're. Just get ready for your food. Season's about to kick off, and I wouldn't really stress too much. I'm not hitting the stress button for people that are wondering about recruiting. I think recruiting is going just fine, but um, I'd like to see better? Would I like to see them? Yeah, I would like to see them get the tackle position, which I thought they would get done, but Georgia Tech came in there late, really had a surge and pull that off. But I think overall the class is doing very well.
What's kind of next up? And you alluded to it there a little bit. We're gonna have another video coming to the
Yeah,
channel later on in the week. So this feels like a good time to say, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe
yeah.
to the channel if you aren't already. But we'll kind of close this video out with a broad question. Maybe what are you watching for over the next couple months, recruiting wise, and what can fans kind of look out for, over these next couple months as well?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that you want to look for is just the reactions you're hearing from recruits around when they watch FSU play, whether they're there live and in person. Pretty confident there's not going to be a lot of guys in Dublin, Ireland, to watch that in person, but just when kids watch and the attendance of people that you see there, what kind of is the reaction to FSU when they watch them? What is kind of their vibe? Is it the same way where they look at them like they're a top 5 program, or is there a different vibe that you want to see? You want to see if it's consistent like it has been almost every year under Norvell, and I think it will be. But I think that's kind of just their vibes and feeling of where the program's at. When they go watch them play, what's the connection? What's the feeling of the atmosphere? Because we know there's renovations to the stadium, so I'm curious to see what they say. When they start playing some home games of, hey, how are you feeling about the environment? Is it much different? Is it stuff like that? And then two, just the usual. What kind of is the intel that I'm getting, when in regards to what they do with development and just their overall feeling of FSU. When you look at FSU and you view FSU, what are you seeing? Like, what stands out to you, and how does that compare to a top programs like Georgia and Ohio State? I want to see kind of the feeling there. What I'm hearing behind the scenes of different recruits of is it still up there? Is it still is the excitement level still what we want? Because you know FSU has been the team in the state of Florida. It's been the team and program in the state. So you want to see if there's any change there. It's like, is there a feeling? Is there a movement? For now, I've heard everything I've heard has been we know FSU's the team to beat when it comes to this team to beat when it comes to in-state in the state of Florida. No matter how much crap Miami blows up smoke up your butt about how they're going to be, this is the year and the U is back. And I want to see kind of what's the feeling around the recruits of, hey, yeah, we see a little bit there, but is FSU? I mean, how do they view them compared to FSU? That's kind of some of the things I'm curious to see, and just and then too, just how the recruits react to if those teams struggle again. What happens with them and how they view them and how they view if they're committed to that school. So that's kind of a lot what I'll be looking for.
All right, good stuff as always. Make sure you head over to the premium recruiting board on warchant.com. We have actually got a special going on for the YouTube viewers right now. You see that there at the bottom of your screen. 2 months of warchant.com for just $1. Use code FSU1. Make sure you check that out. Head over to the premium recruiting boards. Michael, Matt will have you covered with all the latest in FSU recruiting news. And of course, we'll be back later this week with some more recruiting talk here on Warchant TV. So for Michael, I'm Ben. Until then, we'll see you next time. Hit that like button on the way out.